Hello, my name is Evan Ritchie. I am a sophomore at El Dorado High School. Um, and that's my photo on the left side of the screen, and this is my Pecha Kucha projects. So I really hope you enjoy. So the topic for this project is going to be school shootings, and it's a topic that I've been thinking about recently as a student myself, since school shootings have only been happening more and more frequently within Texas. So the main reason that I picked this topic is that as a student myself, I grow a little more fearful each day that my school is going to get shot up, and I just feel like talking about this topic specifically is like a weight lifted off of my chest. As you can see, the chart below represents the number of school shooting victims and how it has risen over the past decade, with it nearly doubling from 100 victims in 1986 to nearly 200 victims in a single year of 2021. So the main shooting that I wanted to discuss in this PowerPoint was the Robb Elementary School shooting, which occurred in Uvalde, Texas, and was known as the deadliest school shooting in Texas history. Shooting in itself was on May 24th, 2022 at 11:28 a.m., lasting all the way until 12:50 p.m. This not only means that the shooting itself lasted 2 hours, but that it took law enforcement over an hour to respond to the situation. Ramos was the 18-year-old student who had shot up the elementary school in the first place. It is said that he had no criminal record or history of mental illness, and a 17-year-old co-worker and classmate stated that he always seemed to take his anger out on the most innocent people in the room. This case isn't called the deadliest school shooting in Texas history for no reason. There was 22 deaths caused during the shooting, including 19 students, 2 teachers, and Ramos himself after being shot dead by a Border Patrol officer at the end of the shooting. Not only did law enforcement wait over an hour to confront the gunman and put an end to this shooting, but the reason behind this was that they feared the gunman's AR-15 style rifle, which obviously packs more punch than a normal handgun. After the shooting took place, judicial action was taken in the form of criminal charges against former law enforcement officials for their role in the Uvalde shooting. This, of course, refers to the law enforcement officers waiting outside for hours before confronting the gunman. Believe it or not, upon being convicted, Pete Arrendando, which is the male on the left, pleaded not guilty for his crimes during the school shooting. I personally think this is insane since he indirectly caused the death of roughly 22 people. Two very important things occurred after the shooting took place. Some officers were fired and the school superintendent retired. The victims' families fought for accountability and new laws, and Texas officials now focus on school safety and mental health care a lot more. This story does have somewhat of a happy ending, as on April 28th, 2025, Don McLaughlin passed the Uvalde Strong Act. As I stated in the previous slide, Texas officials began to focus more on school safety and mental health care, and this is an example of that. A little bit more in depth here. The Uvalde Strong Act was a proposed bill in the Texas legislature that aimed to improve the state's response to active shooter situations, particularly at primary and secondary schools, such as Robb Elementary School, where the shooting initially took place. This bill requires annual meetings between school districts and law enforcement in order to develop active shooter response plans, mandate training for officers on school active shooter responses, and to provide training grants for officers overall. Ways this law is going to be enforced is through the use of mandatory joint training and planning, which requires annual joint training exercises for all law enforcement agencies across Texas, and mutual aid agreements, where the Department of Public Safety is required to establish mutual aid agreements with local law enforcement agencies. Upon completing this presentation, I was left with one question. Was this bill enough? Is this bill really going to be that effective to stop more and more school shootings from happening in the near future? Fortunately, I have personal experience with similar situations. My school has failed multiple security checks implemented by the Uvalde Strong Acts for the reason that students often prop open doors using rocks, allowing virtually anybody in at any time. Current gun laws in Texas state that a person needs to be 21 years of age and does not need to own a gun license in order to bear a firearm. This makes it very easy for people with malicious intent to own guns and potentially cause more school shootings overall. Overall, I still find this topic very concerning for a student like myself and my peers, as at this point in time, school shootings could really happen to anyone at any time. And it's pretty evident that our law enforcement isn't currently strong enough to stop situations such as this.